Well, it is a topic that needs as much attention as we can give it. That's why Maryland TraumaNet is taking this month to raise awareness of intimate partner and domestic violence. Dr. Farheen Qureshi is an attending trauma surgeon at Sinai Hospital, and Amanda Miller is a bridge program case manager at the University of Maryland Medical Center. Thank you so much for being with us, you two.
Thank you for having us.
So I want to start out with you. Before we talk about anything, let's talk about intimate partner violence. You're both part of Maryland TraumaNet. So let's remind viewers what that mission is.
Sure. Maryland TraumaNet is an organization made up of all of the different trauma centers of various levels in the state of Maryland that engages and empowers those trauma centers, the surgeons, the patients, to help educate and provide injury prevention and violence prevention advocates.
And talk about the different types of intimate partner violence that people can experience.
So there are several types of domestic violence. Most people will think about just the physical violence, but we would include emotional, financial, psychological, sexual violence as other forms of intimate partner violence that victims can experience.
And we generally think of these victims as being women, but that is not always the case. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Victims can be men and women, perpetrators can be men and women, and non-gender conforming as well.
And some of the concerns regarding domestic violence during COVID, what are they?
Specifically, the COVID pandemic, and unfortunately the lengths that we've had to go to contain it, require abusers and victims often to be at home in close proximity. It's provided economic and job hardships that has worsened that abuse, that has caused abusers to be in close proximity and to be around their victims, and oftentimes made it more difficult for victims to reach out to hotlines and to reach out to friends and family, causing worsening isolation, financial difficulties, really exacerbating everything that goes into the circle of abuse.
Yeah, these are really tough times for a lot of people, but you add that on top of it and it really can feel like it's insurmountable. But Amanda, I know that you shared already that you are also a survivor of this type of violence. Tell us how that has shaped your efforts to help others, especially right now.
Well, having lived through domestic violence, my own personal experience of what brought me into working in this field, just going back and thinking about the services that helped me, the barriers that I had to overcome, things that could have been improved in different systems, whether it was at the hospital, with the police department, through the court system, and just being able to be an outlet to another survivor to really, when I say I understand, I really do understand. Every situation is unique. I don't know what each person is going through, but I can try to pull back from my own experience and give them a little bit of hope and a little bit of guidance to get through it on their own.
And it's got to be helpful for them as well to be confiding in someone who's already walked in their shoes when they need it most. If someone is watching right now and they do need help, what should they do? Who should they reach out to? Your hotline?
So 211 is a wonderful resource. Of course, there is the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Every city, every county in the state of Maryland will have its own hotline run through the individual shelters in that location. So obviously it's too much to put every hotline up there, but 211 or 799-SAFE is the National Domestic Violence Hotline. What you can expect when you call those numbers is they're going to connect you to a local resource, whether it's a hospital-based advocacy program, a community-based advocacy program, a shelter, or if it's just someone to sit and talk to you through that crisis call.
That is great. So you can just make that one call and they'll put you in touch through the proper channels that will get you some local help. I want to thank you both so much for being with us. We really appreciate it. And we'll be right back with more Midday Maryland right after this. Stay tuned.